Hello and welcome to another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Connor Moreno, lead writer for UCLA Bruins on SI. And today we're here. We made it to the final ranking of our series where we are ranking UCLA's most important games this season. We are at number 1 currently. And last episode we talked about number 2, which was USC. Said the Trojans were number 2 because it was the last game of the season, and depending on how the season prior for UCLA started, would really depend on the importance of the game. And you know crazily enough is that I think that however UCLA starts the season, whether it's good, whether it's bad, that USC game is it holds a lot more weight, because if UCLA starts bad, then it could have major bowl game implications. If UCLA starts good, then the game against USC could be the difference between 7 or 8 wins this season. So that's why we chose USC. And today we're moving on to number 1, which is Week 1 against Utah. I think that UCLA's first game this season against Utah on Saturday in the Rose Bowl is going to be their most important game of the year, because I believe that it is pretty much the perfect storm for this new team, Deshaun Foster's second season, Nico Iamaleava's debut, a team that lost a whole bunch of seniors and replaced them through the transfer portal with some really solid additions on the margins. I think that this game is the perfect storm in the Rose Bowl. It's going to be a night game. Hopefully fans come out, that UCLA can set a precedent for the rest of their season. And I believe it can happen. I believe they can do this. I believe that they can win this game, and it'll be uber important for them to win this game, because it'll really set the tone for the next season. Because, we've talked about it, and I will preference this since it's going to be the last time that we talk about it in this series. I do think that every game in a football season, in a college football season, is of the utmost importance, but I do think that some games hold more weight than others, and that's exactly how I feel about this Utah game. I feel like it holds the most weight because, UCLA is going to be underdogs going into this game, believe it or not. I mean, there are different ways of calculating it. For instance, like ESPN's FPI says that UCLA is a better team than Utah, but a lot of the odds makers are saying that Utah, I think they're 5.5 point favorites over UCLA. But yeah, it's going to be a huge test for UCLA, because if the Bruins are indeed the team that they think they are, and the team that they've kind of been marketing that they are, then they should win this game, and they should really set the pace for the entire season, and really go out and show us that they are who we think they are. But if UCLA is the team that is kind of being underrated by a lot of the national media and big names around college football media, then they're going to go in as underdogs, and they're going to have to prove themselves. And, I think, and the reason I put this game at number 1, because I feel like a win holds a lot of weight for the rest of the season, and I also feel like a loss holds a lot of weight for the rest of the season. So walk with me here. We'll start with the loss. We'll start with the negative part first. So if UCLA loses this game that they're underdogs in, if they lose this game, that is a 0-1 start, and then you have to turn around the very next week, play against UNLV. Now UNLV, as we know, they barely beat an FCS team. Idaho State barely beat them. I don't know how much weight you want to put that in to who the Rebels are this season, but regardless of who they beat in week 0, regardless of the opponent, week 2 against UCLA in Las Vegas, it's going to be a dogfight. I mean, UCLA is not just going to be upright favorites. They might be favorites going into it, but it's not going to be like super easy for them, to defeat them. So you could call it a toss-up game. I think UCLA has the edge in that one, but just the sole fact that it is being considered a toss-up game makes the game against Utah even more important, because if you win against Utah, then you're riding momentum into Las Vegas, and you're taking that into UNLV. And then the next week, New Mexico, we all expect UCLA to beat New Mexico. But then you have Northwestern 2 weeks after that. After New Mexico, UCLA has a bye, and then they have Northwestern to open up conference play. That one's going to be a toss-up as well. I mean, a lot of these UCLA games are toss-ups, which is why, most of these toss-up games were higher in the rankings. And so, yeah, that game against Northwestern is a toss-up. So, potentially, and this is why I wanted to start with the, I guess the pessimistic side, is that you're potentially going into week 6 against Penn State, maybe 2-2, potentially. If everything goes wrong, you're going into Penn State 1-3, and you could, you might as well just kiss your season goodbye. But let's say you're going into Penn State 2-2, you lose that, you're 2-3, and then you have Maryland and Michigan State, 2 games in which the Bruins aren't going to be favorited in. But they're also probably going to be considered toss-ups at the time, especially if, UCLA has 3 losses going into those games. So that's why I think this Utah game is super important. And, let's highlight that important in a positive aspect by, talking about what the outcome could be if you win this game against Utah. Let me pull up the schedule, because this is exactly how I'm going to predict UCLA's season goes, which is with the win. I do think UCLA is going to come out firing in week 1 and beat Utah. It's not going to be easy, but I really think that they can do it. So you look at their schedule. Utah, win, and I believe after that win, they carry their momentum into Las Vegas the next week and beat UNLV. They're going to beat New Mexico. We're expecting them to beat New Mexico. And I think, 3-0 start. You're 3-0 going into Northwestern to open up conference play. It is a road game. It's going to be difficult, different time zone, kind of. But I do think that UCLA, especially if they win the 3 games prior, then they will beat Northwestern. So that's 4-0 going into week 6 at the Rose Bowl against Penn State. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, I think UCLA has a chance to upset Penn State. I don't think so. I think UCLA, I'm comfortable in saying UCLA will lose to Penn State, as I think any reasonable person would. And then the next week, you're 4-1, and you have Michigan State and Maryland the next 2 weeks after Penn State. I think those can be wins for UCLA, especially that Maryland game. I think that, it's at the Rose Bowl. I think that can be a win for UCLA. Michigan State's going to be a difficult one. It's at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Obviously, it's going to be in Michigan, but it's at 9 a.m., different time zone that you have to get acclimated to. But I do still think that UCLA, especially if they're 4-1 going into that matchup against Michigan State, is going to, have the edge in that. And then, after Michigan State and Maryland, you're 6-1. Halfway through the season, you're 6-1. That is a successful season already if you're 6-1. Then you have Indiana. I'll say UCLA is going to lose that. And then, I hate to, kind of be, I hate to be that guy, but looking at the schedule, I feel like UCLA's only losses are going to be against the 3 ranked opponents that they're going against this season, which are Penn State, Indiana, and Ohio State. And I think at the end of the season, I think they'll drop one to Nebraska, Washington, or USC, but only one. I think only one, which means UCLA is going to start 8-4. I'm going to write about it. That is my official prediction. I feel like UCLA will go 8-4 this season. If they go 8-4, that is a massive improvement off of their 5-7 season last year. And it all starts in week 1. I think it all starts in week 1 with Utah. And Saturday, we're going to find out what type of team UCLA is going to be this season. And we're going to find out if they are the type of team that they've been marketing to us the entire offseason. So, yeah, that's going to do it for our rankings. We did it. We completed it. We did every single game, ranking them 12-1. And, yeah. So that means these next few episodes are going to be about game week. We are in game week. I'm going to be previewing the matchup, highlighting key players that I think are going to have an impact in the game, all sorts of stuff, all stories that come out from leading up to the game. And then, of course, this weekend we're going to be covering the game. And you can have all that coverage on UCLA Bruins on SI. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.